Hello, guys. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Brian Myler, your host here at the BMI Care TV. For those that have already subscribed to our YouTube channel, thank you so much for your support so far. It is because of you that this channel exists. For those that are coming here for the first time, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon, selecting all notifications so that when we upload videos of this nature, you will be amongst the first few to be notified. And so today, I would like to go over how the express entry system works for Canadian immigration process. And so if this video or this information appeals to your interest and you know somebody that might be interested in information such as this one, please hit that, like button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it widely to others so that information can actually reach out to as many people as possible. And so I would encourage you to watch this video to the end because I'll take you through, how this, program works. It's something that tends to confuse a lot of people, but I know that with this explanation, you will be able to understand how this program actually works. So in starting, I will take you to uh, the website for Canadian immigration, and then we will dive into talking about the Express Entry Program. How does it actually work? So, in starting, I'd like to first of all mention that when it comes to Express Entry System, it is used actually to manage applications for three immigration programs. So that is Federal Skilled Worker Program, Federal Skilled Trades Program, and Canadian Experience Trust. And so, if a person actually meets any of these three, streams of immigration to Canada, then they can also apply for express entry through the provincial nomination program. And at that point, they'll end up getting extra points so that they can be invited quickly to apply for express entry, uh, so that eventually they'll be able to apply for permanent resident or permanent residency for Canada. And so, in comparing the three different immigration programs, I will click on this link here so that I show you exactly that when it comes to eligibility criteria, all the three require English or French skills. And so one needs to be able to undergo English proficiency exams or French proficiency exams so that they can actually demonstrate that they have language abilities that meet the criteria for immigration to Canada. So you can actually see that they actually describe the criteria within here. And these are things that you can actually go over at your own time when you look through these links. And then there is what is called work experience. So you can actually see that for both Canadian work experience and federal worker program, one needs to have a work experience that fits within tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 in terms of job classification. And how this actually works is that you basically need to ensure that the job that you are doing currently, whether it is within Canada itself, that is for, Canadian work experience. So that is if you are working within Canada for the first program, and then if you are working outside of Canada for federal worker program, you want to make sure that the job that you are doing actually meets the Canadian job classification or job categories. And this you can actually see by looking at, the different job units that are been highlighted on this particular website here. So, for example, if you are a registered nurse or a registered psychiatric nurse, this would be the code, the NOC code here, which is 3012. And then you want to come down here to actually see what job titles, best describe what you are doing currently. So, are you a clinical nurse? Are you a community health nurse? Are you a critical care nurse? Or are you an emergency care nurse or an intensive care nurse or a nurse researcher? So these will be the duties. And then you could include infection control officer, medical. And then have you been doing any of these duties that have been listed here? Because then these will be the basis for which work experience can actually be, demonstrated that you actually have the necessary work experience for the job titles that they have highlighted here. So you can look at this at your own time. And then, for example, if you are in finance, let's actually just look at that. If you are in finance, let's say somebody is in finance and they've been working maybe as a financial auditor or an accountant. So they are basically looking at that. So we basically wait for the page to load. So it has done that. And then we come and see the different job titles: accountant, chief accountant, financial auditor, income tax expert, industrial accountant, and internal auditor. And then these will be the main duties. And then when it comes to requirements, employment requirements, so these will be the employment requirements that are being highlighted. So you can actually go through the entire, list of NOC codes to actually see which one best describes the job which you can use to apply for express entry, to Canada. So there's all these, jobs here. All these jobs are here. It could be a, fisherman or woman, and then underground mining service and support workers, general farm workers there, silviculture and forestry workers. All these jobs actually qualify to be in the express entry stream, but you need to see which one basically meets your job experience, your work experience, or is close to your work experience that you have actually, been doing. So that is basically what one thing that you want to look at. So that is in terms of work experience. And then for this one here, federal skilled trades program, basically, it's a work experience in a skilled trade under key groups of tier 2 or tier 3. So these will be examples that are being talked about, like technical trades and transportation officers and controllers, transportation officers and controllers, general trade supervisors in natural resources, agriculture, and related production. So these will be, the jobs that will qualify under that: chefs, butchers, cooks, and bakers, aircraft assemblers, and the aircraft assembly inspectors. These are some of the examples that you can actually get processing, manufacturing, and utilities, and things like that. So that would be what is being talked about. And when it comes to the amount of work experience for individuals that are in the group of Canadian experience class, they say that they need to have 1 year work experience in Canada in the last 3 years. And this could actually be a combination of full-time or part-time work, and that should have actually been paid work. Volunteer work, which was not paid, does not count here. And then, you know, for our friends who are in the program of the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and this is mostly for those who are in other countries outside of Canada. 1 year continuous work experience within the last 10 years, which should include a combination of part-time, full-time, or more than one job in your primary occupation. And the primary occupation, the way they describe it here, if you actually were to look at it critically, let's actually look at that word. So what do you mean by primary occupation? Your primary occupation means the job you have experience in within the last 10 years and what wants to base your immigration application on if you are invited to apply through the express entry program. And then if you are a federal skilled trade, worker program, then you need to have 2 years within last 5 years, either combination of full-time or part-time work. And then in terms of job offers, for the Canadian experience, you don't require a job offer. And for the, skilled federal worker program, again, you do not require a job offer, but you can get selection criteria points for having a valid job offer. So if you have a valid job offer, you can get additional points. And then for the Federal Skilled Trades Worker Program, one needs a valid job offer of full-time employment for a total period of at least 1 year or a certificate of qualification in that skilled trade issued by a Canadian provincial, territorial, or federal authority. And then for this one, they do not require, education. And this is for the Canadian experience and the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program. And this is, because these individuals are considered to be within Canada already, they have already satisfied the education requirements. Yeah, but then the Federal Skilled Worker Program requires a minimum of secondary education. So you can get more selection criteria points for your post-secondary education. So this means that even if you just have a secondary education, friends, you can actually apply into the express entry program. So you don't need to have just, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, but that will give you, an advantage because you will get more points. But even if you just have secondary education, you can actually go ahead in doing that. Now, this is what you need to know before you consider pushing in an application into this particular program. But then, what about those people that apply through the, provincial nomination program? The provincial nomination program. Maybe before we come to that, I would like to just delve a little into the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So this page actually talks about how this particular program works, selection factors, and minimum requirements. So I've highlighted most of the other things, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that this program has minimum requirements for skilled work experience, which I've talked about, language abilities, education. You must meet all the minimum requirements to be eligible. And so for education, you want to make sure that you do a WES verification of your credentials so that they are converted to the Canadian level of study. And then selection factors basically focuses on these factors here: age, education, work experience, whether you have a valid job offer. Again, this may not be required, but it will give you additional points. And then English or French language skills and adaptability, how well you are likely to settle in Canada. And all these will give you a total point of 100 points. But for you to actually pass, you need to score 67 points out of that in your CRS score. And then how do they use selection factor points? So we use the selection factor point to assess your eligibility for the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Once you are in the express entry pool, we use a different system to rank your profile. We select the highest ranking candidates from the pool and invite them to apply for permanent residence. And in terms of the minimum requirements for the skilled work experience, you need to refer to those NOC, that is the National Occupation Classification tier categories, which you need to refer to. And again, I've shown you this page so that you can actually select which job experience you'll be using for entry into the express entry program. And so, yeah, so we'll come here through to talk about part-time work experience and all that. All these things I think we have covered. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight this particular aspect. So if you went to school in Canada, you must have a certificate, diploma, or degree from a Canadian, secondary institution or post-secondary institution. And if you have a foreign education, you must have a completed credential. A completed what? Credential. So when you click on this one where they say credential, let's see the definition of credential. So according to this, they say it could be any diploma, degree, or trade or apprenticeship credential issued for completing a program of study or training at a recognized educational or training institution. So people get worried to say maybe I must do a GPA system kind of profession and whatever. You know, according to this, that's not what is supposed to be the case. As long as you have got your secondary level of education and you have also done post-secondary education, you actually qualify to enter into this express entry program, because all they want is that you must have completed an educational credential. So that will give you additional points. So you have heard it from there. And an educational credential assessment needs to actually be done for immigration purposes. So you need to do an educational credential assessment, and which they call ECA, for immigration purposes from a designated organization, showing that your education is equal to a completed certificate, diploma, or degree from a Canadian secondary institution, high school, or post-secondary institution. So when they talk about ECA, if you want to read about it, you can actually click there, and there's information here which actually says an educational credential assessment is used to verify that your foreign degree, diploma, or certificate or other proof of your credential is valid and equal to a Canadian one. So that is basically why they actually advise to do that. You must include your ECA report and the reference number in your express entry profile. Your ECA report may help when you are looking for a job in Canada, but it doesn't guarantee that you get a job in your field or at a certain level. You will get a license. It doesn't guarantee that you get a license to practice in a regulated professional job. So that, for example, for some of us who are, medical practitioners, even if you do that ECA, report, it will not guarantee that you become licensed to practice in Canada. But it is for immigration purposes. It is purely for immigration purposes, though to some extent it can actually help when you're looking for a job whilst you are in Canada. So that information should actually be well known by those who are interested in applying, in submitting an express entry profile. And when you talk about designated organization, which are some of the designated organizations that help with the education credential assessment? You can actually see here that most of them have been highlighted here. World Educational Services, this is the commonly used ways. It's the commonly used, and of course there are others here that have been highlighted. So I may do a separate video about this so that we can actually show people how to actually do a WES evaluation of their credentials. And so these are things that you want to actually pay attention to. And then the other thing is there is also an aspect of proof of funds. So when it comes to proof of funds, you must show that you have enough money for you and your family to settle in Canada, unless you are currently able to legally work in Canada. So if you have been given a work, a job offer, and you have been given a work permit, even as you are outside of Canada, so that by the time you're coming into Canada, you are legally able to work. Then there'll be no need for you to show, the proof of funds. Have a valid job offer. So that is something that I've talked about. And then you must be admissible to Canada. And this, you must make sure that in your life, you do not find yourself in illegal activities or criminal activities. Because if you have criminal records, then you may not be admitted into Canada. And so the next thing that I wanted to show you is basically proof of funds. So when they talk about proof of funds, they actually, have guidance on how much money you need to have, and this is how much money you need to have. So if you are just alone, you need to have that amount. If you are two of you, you need that amount. If you are three, you need that amount. And if you are four, you need that amount. So these are the things that you can actually go, through at your own time. Now, let me just conclude by looking at those who immigrate through the provincial nomination program. So let's say you apply through the provincial nomination program. How does that really work? And how does it blend with the main system? So basically what happens is that, ideally, you're supposed to submit an express entry profile and then, try and see if you can get the province to nominate you. So if the province nominates you, then you need to accept the nomination. So when you have accepted the nomination, they'll ask you to submit some documents and all that, which then they will help to process your nomination so that they can actually send that information to the main express entry system. And so you will need to actually go to your express entry profile and make adjustments to your express entry profile. So, for example, they highlight here to say, get an express entry stream nomination or have your nomination confirmed. Okay, so what they're saying here is that if a province or territory has already agreed to nominate you, if you apply to a province or territory express entry system and they agree to nominate you, they must confirm your nomination electronically. So you will need to confirm your nomination electronically. And after you submit your profile, you must contact the province or territory directly. So after you have done your express entry profile, just in case you have not done your express entry profile and there's a province that has already agreed to nominate you, after you have filled in that express entry profile, you need to go now outside to your email, contact the province or territory directly, outside of your account and give them your express entry profile number and the job seeker validation code. Okay, so those two things. And then the province or territory will use this to confirm your nomination with immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. Once they do that, you will get a message in your account asking you to either accept or reject the nomination. To do this, click either the accept or not accept button at the top of the application profile details. So if you accept the nomination, the system will find that you meet the requirements of the PNP and you will get a letter in your account that confirms your nomination. Your profile will be placed into express entry pool, and you'll be awarded 600 additional points. That will help you to get invited to apply quickly. So note, 600 points is the maximum additional points you can get. If you have points for a job offer and or study in Canada, only the 600 points for your nomination will be added to your CRS score. So that is one thing you need to know. And then if you click do not accept or ignore the nomination, you are not eligible for the PNP unless another province nominates you. You must register for Job Bank within 30 calendar days from when you created your profile. Once you do, you will be placed in the express entry pool and may be invited to apply under any program you have been found eligible for. So when you enter the express entry pool, within 30 days, you can actually, enter the job bank. So entering the job bank means that you are now allowing the Canadian immigration to submit your profile to different provinces and different programs that are actually recruiting for Canada. So that when you find yourself meeting a certain criteria, they may actually invite you or they may actually nominate your profile. So that's something that you want to take note of. If you do not yet have an express entry stream nomination, if you are already in the express entry pool and you wish to be considered for the PNP, there are two ways you can actually get a nomination under a province or territory's express entry stream. Apply to the province or territory directly, and so you can actually visit province or territory websites here to find out their criteria for their PNP express entry stream. If you are interested and you meet their requirements, submit an application to one of their express entry streams. And if a province or territory agrees to nominate you, you must update your express entry profile to show that you have a nomination or create a profile if you have not already done so. Choose the province or territory from the drop-down menu. It will show up after you change the previous answer to yes. Then update your profile to show you are interested in that province or territory if you have not already done so. Then contact the province or territory outside of your account and give them your express entry profile number, job seeker validation code, and then wait for the province or territory to confirm your nomination with IRCC. You will get a message in your account when the province or territory confirms your nomination. You'll find this at the top of the application profile details page in your account. And at that point, you will be asked to either accept or reject the nomination in your account. If you accept the nomination, the system will find that you meet the requirements of the PNP. So this is basically just similar to the previous information that we were looking at. And this time around, we were talking about somebody that already has an express entry profile. So a province or territory finds your profile and contacts you through your account. So these are the things that happen once a province finds your profile if you have been put into that job bank, the province may find your profile and they may contact you through your account. So provinces can search the pool of express entry profiles to find candidates to nominate. If you nominated when you are already in the express entry pool, the province or territory searches the pool and finds your profile. So the province or territory sends a notification of interest letter to your account. The letter tells you to contact the province or territory to discuss your options. This letter is not a nomination and does not guarantee you will be nominated. So if you want to be nominated by that province or territory, you must contact them directly and apply to their PNP Express entry system. If the province or territory approves your application, you will get a message in your account. And then at that point, you'll be asked to either accept or reject the nomination. And then after that, get an invitation to apply for permanent residence. Once you have accepted your nomination, so that's basically what happens. So to apply for permanent residence under express entry, you must first be invited to apply. If we invite you to apply, you get a message in your account. You can then apply online. You have 60 days to submit your online application for permanent residence once you are invited to apply. When you accept a nomination, you are awarded 600 additional points in the CRS or the comprehensive ranking system. This will help you get invited to apply. And then fill out your application. Okay, so that's basically something that you can look at your own time. I'll not waste time going through them. Then 5, if the province or territory withdraws your nomination, this information, friends, you might want to go through this information at your own time. And again, I'll share a link to this particular website so that you can actually go through this information. It's very, very important. You need to know this information, especially if you are considering to apply for express entry. Yeah, this is because if you do not pay attention to this information, in either of these cases, listen to this, in either of these cases, if you do not follow the directions above, you could be found inadmissible. So this means you could be banned from applying to come to Canada for any reason for 5 years. So this information is basically just saying that if the province or territory withdraws your nomination after you have been invited to apply for permanent residence, but before you submit your application, you must actually decline the invitation at that point. So what they're saying basically is that if the province or territory withdraws your nomination after you have been invited to apply for permanent residence. So, for example, a particular province invites you to apply or they nominate you, and then at some point they actually revoke your nomination, and then you realize that. So what you need to do is you need to decline the invitation because at that point maybe you have already been invited to apply for permanent residence. So permanent residence, has been actually, the CRS system has actually invited you to apply for permanent residence. But the province, for some reasons, they decide to revoke your nomination. At that point, your next course of action should be to decline the invitation to apply for permanent residence. And then withdraw your current profile and then submit a new profile to the express entry pool. That's what you are supposed to do. So what they are saying is that if you ignore and proceed with applying for permanent residency, what will happen is that your application will be refused and your fees will not be refunded to you. And then you may even risk being declared inadmissible into Canada. So this information is what I would like you to pay attention to as individuals that are interested in applying for the express entry pool. Otherwise, at this point, I would like to simply say, if you did like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet please subscribe to our channel. And if you haven't selected the notification bell, please hit that notification bell so that each time we upload videos of this nature, you will be amongst the first few to be notified. And so I would appreciate comments, questions in the, you know, on this video so that, if we have to address your questions, then we can address them at our own time. That way we will know whether we are reaching, we are able to reach you and reaching you at your points of need. And not only that, it will help us to also interact with you, members of this community. And at this point, allow me to simply say thank you very much for watching this particular video. And I say bye-bye for now until we meet again in another video.